I do have to tell you, when Regina called and she asked me to speak on voter rights, the importance of voting, your responsibilities as a voter, what you should anticipate as you prepare to vote, for any of you that have not, none of you have probably done that yet, at least not in a local, state, or national election. I have to tell you, I thought to myself, why on earth did she think I was worthy to talk about this topic? Surely I am no subject matter expert. I am a voter. I believe in the power of exercising my voice at the local, state, and the national level. And I've been voting for 18 years. So you guys do the math in your head, figure out if you can, let me know if you can figure out how old I am. You don't have to tell everybody. I will be 36 actually, but yes, you're absolutely right. I am proud to be 36. I will be 36 in just a few weeks, on the 29th of this month. So very excited about that. Thank you. Thank you. So I am a voter. I've been voting for a while, and perhaps that's the only qualification you need to be able to talk about voting. I don't know. When I was your age, I served on a board of directors for a national organization that cares a lot about voters' rights and civil rights. In fact, it's the very organization that is listed as the presenter for this session. So when I was your age, I was on the national board for the NAACP. And so perhaps that is what qualifies me to talk about voting. Over the years, I've volunteered alongside organizations that not only train people to register voters, but also train people to encourage voters to actually vote. It's one thing to be registered, it's another thing to exercise your right and actually vote. And I've also worked alongside organizations that inform voters about the issues that are on the ballot. A lot of times those issues can be really complex and difficult to digest, so it's great to have these organizations that really break it down and put things in terms that your average Joe can understand. So I doubt that Regina knew any of this. Maybe she knew some of this when she called and invited me here. Perhaps she did. I didn't ask her, so I don't know for sure. But here we are. So I hope you will rock with me for the next 30 minutes as we talk more about voting. So I'm sure you know that the topic of voting requires more than a 30-minute talk at a conference. It's a massive, massive topic. So I'll only be able to, truthfully, I'll barely scratch the surface today. But this is an excellent place to start to expand your knowledge about voting beyond what you know now, beyond what you've learned in school, maybe even beyond what you've observed and experienced within your own families. I have to tell you, I came into this conference with a lot of assumptions about high school seniors and what they think about voting. Hard to believe, right? You know, an adult assuming things about young people. That's kind of, we have a tendency to do that. I talked to my peers. I even talked with a few colleagues about the assumptions that I had in my mind about what you guys think about voting. And I don't know if you've ever heard about what happens when you assume. Has anybody ever heard that? If you haven't, I'm not going to tell you. Google it, and you can figure that one out later. But assuming is not a good approach to take. So instead of doing that, one way to, that I think, I just want to know what you're thinking. I want to know what you think about voting. I want to know what comes to mind when if you've had conversations about voting. So this is the moment in the presentation where you get to participate. And I've got a few questions that I want to ask you. And I don't know if any of you guys go to church, but sometimes in churches they say turn to your neighbor, and then they tell you to say something to that neighbor. Well, that's what's about to happen right now. I want you to turn to your neighbor and talk about these 3 questions that you see here. So I want you to I'll give you about maybe 5 minutes. I want you to talk about what comes to mind when you think about voting, just your initial reaction. I want you to talk about if you think voting matters, and then name one right you have with regard to voting in the state of Colorado. Ready, go. Okay, you have about 3 more minutes to talk through all 3 of these questions. Okay, 1 more minute. All right, let's simmer down. I need 2 brave souls. Okay, whoever said me, come on up, and their hand in the back. I can see your hand. I need 2 people to come down who are willing to share what you talked about within your group. You didn't know what I was gonna ask. Gotta wait for the full ask. Come on up. Thank you for volunteering. Okay, what's your name? Amani is here with us from George High School. All right, is that here in Colorado Springs? Oh.
No, not Colorado Springs.
It's in Denver. Wonderful. Thank you for being here. What's your name, sir? Jonte. What school do you represent? Fountain Fort Carson in the house. All right. Okay, so let's hear, Amani, tell me what well, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go through each question individually. So what comes to mind when you think about voting? What did your group talk about? You'll have to come to the mic so they can hear you.
So I talked to only one other person.
Okay, you talked to one person. I'll just tell you what she's saying in case you can't hear her.
And so I said that when I think of voting, I see it as a democracy, but he had pointed out that only a small percentage, we're pretty curious about voting, a small percentage is actually voting.
Sure. So democracy is the first thing that came to mind as she was talking, and but there is a perspective that maybe only a small percentage of our voting system is truthfully a democracy. If you agree with that, if you think about that, clap your hands, cheer, just let me know what you think about that. Yeah. Okay. Good people. All right. What about you?
So I said that when I think about it, there's like a lot of lies going on because no one really wants to talk about who they vote for just in case that person wins.
Oh, so I don't know if you heard him, but I'll repeat it just so everyone can hear. He said the first thing that comes to mind is lies. Deception. I'm adding that. He didn't say deception. I'm adding that word. But just people don't want to talk about who they voted for. Maybe the person that they voted for didn't win, or there could be, maybe they voted for somebody that people don't really like. So deception, lies, just uncertainty perhaps is what comes to mind. Anybody agree with that? Yeah? Okay. Now, what I think is the $1 million question. What does voting matter? What did you guys talk about?
Both me and who I was talking to said that it does matter.
Okay.
Because if one person gives their vote, I mean, yeah, they get to give their opinion, and that's a right that a lot of other countries don't have.
Amen.
But it's like when we have a whole community giving, it can make a lot of
Sure.
impact.
Sure. So yes. Oh, thank you. Look at this. Hello? Oh, testing? Maybe we gotta actually turn it on. Oh, they are on. Or maybe you have to turn it on. Hello? Testing? We'll see what happens. Testing? Testing? No. Can you hear me? Testing? Is it? No. It is on. Okay. Is it on? I don't know. Here, hold one. There, you hold this one. All right. So, tell them again. Tell me again. Imani, tell them again your response to if voting matters.
So, me and my partner had said that if one person votes, it's really good because you get your opinion out, and in other countries, they aren't even allowed to have a say. But when a whole community is voting and giving their say and trying to help with situations, it definitely pulls the scale different ways than if nobody votes because they're like, oh, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay. Javante, right? Jonte. Close. Tell me what you think.
I said that you're able to like better feel part of your country, no
Yeah.
matter what race or like ethnicity that you are. You can be all together as one.
Love these responses. So the consensus on this stage is that voting matters. If you disagree, clap. It's okay if you do. I think that's part of a democracy, actually, is to be able to have respectful discourse. Okay, so it sounds like across the board people believe that voting matters. Now, let's talk about our rights as voters, specifically in the state of Colorado. Do you know what rights you have? You can just name one, you can talk about it. What do you guys talk about?
When I signed or registered to vote, I was asking them about the parties.
Sure.
So they said I didn't have to like pick a party to
That's right.
go to because they'll only send you those ballots. So I thought that was really nice that, you know, if you don't find somebody within that party you agree with, you're allowed to choose other people.
That is correct. You don't have to associate with a party. You can still vote for anyone you want. There is no requirement, but it is important if you feel that you want to associate with a party, do your research, understand what each party represents, what are your values, what do you care about, and if that party speaks to you, then you can associate with them, but you can also just be an independent. Okay.
So what I really know is like the freedom of speech. But since like my first year, since I just turned 18, it's like my first year partaking in voting. So I'm just learning how to get through it.
Yeah. And you know what? Thank you. Thank you both for your answers. Let's give them a hand. Thank you. And thank you all for your participation. I appreciate that. I want you to talk to each other about these topics because, like I said earlier, you guys are really smart, and you should never underestimate what you know and your experiences. And so it's really good to have that discourse and that conversation. I do want to share some perspective on these questions. Yes, voting matters. It's great to know that the majority of you feel that way, because one of my assumptions coming into this is like, I don't know. I don't really know if high school students care about voting. Do they care? I think some of them care. There's some incredibly socially active young people in this world, so maybe they do, but I didn't want to come in with that assumption without asking you. So it's wonderful to hear that you believe it matters, because as you heard from our two participants, it does. You get to be part of change. Your voice can be heard by voting. And I'll be honest with you, in the 18 years that I have been able to vote, there are moments where it feels like your vote doesn't matter. And it can feel, you can approach voting with a very discouraging just demeanor, but truthfully, voting matters. It does. You get a chance to have a say. You get a chance to pick leaders. You get a chance to make a difference, and you do that alongside other people in your community. So that is really, really important. So I'm glad that you agree. Name one of the rights you have with regard to voting. You heard Amani talk about associating with a party and that it's not required, and it won't keep you from participating in an election. But if you are interested, you should do your research, as I said. There are two rights that I want to highlight specifically because most people in this room, is anybody 16 in here? A couple people? Okay. But I'm assuming everyone else is 17 or 18, right? So you can, if you're 16, you can actually pre-register to vote. So you have the right now to go online, to go into the DMV, even when you get your license. I heard someone say that over there. You can automatically register to vote. And then the other thing that is important is if for any reason you miss the mark, you forget to do it early before you turn 18, you're 18 and you're like, oh, I don't know if I voted. I think so. I have a license, so I'm guessing I'm registered. So if that is you, you can register on the day of the election. There's no timeline. You don't have to do it in advance. That's actually relatively new. So just know that there are no restrictions around when you can vote. You can register the day of and vote, register and vote on the same day. So there are lots of a few other rights that you have as a voter in Colorado. I want to show you this website, and maybe you're familiar. It's called Rock the Vote. Let me see if I can get to it. Maybe I won't be showing you the website. It's okay. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. All right, cool. So this is Rock the Vote. Listen, there are tons of resources out there to help inform you about voting, voter rights, voter responsibilities. I like this one because it's pretty straightforward. And the cool thing is you can look at your state specifically. So if you're in Colorado, which all of you are, if you move to another place, you can see what that state, what the rights are in those states. One thing I want to show you is this map. This is pretty cool because what this map indicates is where your state falls as it relates to voter rights. Colorado's in green, it stands for leader. And that just means that Colorado has essentially limited restrictions on voter rights. You have, essentially everybody gets a mail-in ballot. There's little to no reason why you shouldn't vote because there's opportunity for you to do that. One of the things that once you click on the state, then there's a list of all of the things that you need to know about voting in this state. Preparing to vote, some important deadlines, who your state officials are. There's tons of information here. This is just one website. There's lots of them out there. So I highly encourage you to find the one that works for you, that you feel like is giving you the information that you need. Talk to people and be an informed voter. That's the best thing you can do for yourself, for your community, for your family, so that when you go to that ballot and you're deciding who you want to pick, you're not blindly just picking who you think. You're not picking people based on, I don't know, their hair or the lack thereof, or how cool their name sounds. None of that. You want to go in knowing, okay, I'm choosing this person or these people. I'm saying yes or no to this particular issue, and here's why. That's all voting in the most simple form. That's what it's all about. So, I will leave you with this. No, not a blank screen. I love this energy that's coming from this side of the room. Is that Wyfield or is that Fountain Port Carson? I should have known. I should have known. The Wyfield students are sitting here quietly. They're all respectful. No, I'm just kidding. I appreciate your energy. Thank you so much for engaging. I'm all for it. Okay, so here's just a summary of your rights to vote here in Colorado, in the state of Colorado. As you can see, there's really no restrictions. So as long as you register, you show up, you can vote. No one should ever tell you that you cannot vote as long as you meet all of these requirements, which are pretty straightforward. Here's the thing. It's up to you to do your own research. Do not let anybody tell you what you think you should know or how you should vote or not vote or why voting. You have to generate your own opinion. And the only way you're going to do that is by doing your research. Get connected. What's cool about Colorado Springs in particular, there's tons of groups out here who will help you understand the issues on the ballot. They will train you to train other people to vote, to register to vote. There's lots of ways that you can get involved and learn more about the process, and you don't have to do it on your own. So I encourage you to do your research and get connected so that you can be an informed voter, because I'm here to tell you, as somebody who has been voting, there's a lot of information out there, especially with social media these days. It's hard to keep up with everything. It's hard to know who is telling the truth and who's not. And so the best thing you can do for yourself is be informed and make what you believe is the best decision considering the options that you have. All right, so that's all I have. I know, barely scratched the surface. Yes, please, you can clap for me. Thank you so much for your time. The website again is Rock the Vote. Again, it's just one of many, many, many. If you want to connect with me, if you have questions, follow up, my information is there. I am on Instagram. I try to stay up on the social media platforms to the best of my ability. I don't know if we have time for questions or not, but if you do have any questions, just come up and find me and we can talk. Reminder to stay put if you want to participate in the raffle. I think it's a red ticket. You have to be here in order to win. So thank you so much for your time. You guys enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you. Thank you for the two claps over here on the right. How are you? Good.